Welcome to July's song breakdown, and this month we're going to be breaking down the song Centralia of These Paths We Tread. So if you've watched one of these videos before, you will know that I split it into two halves, and I initially talk about the lyrics and inspiration and themes behind the song, and then I go on to talk about the more practical stuff like how we went about actually writing the song musically and how maybe it was recorded and things like that. So without further ado, let's get on to the lyrics and themes. The idea for writing a song about it came, somebody actually suggested it because our first EP, So Flows Our Fate, had a lot of songs that were about natural disasters and things like that. And this song was written not long after, in fact, just after. And so somebody suggested that there was this place, Centralia in America, and that there was an interesting story behind it and it might be a good thing to write a song about. So I started to look into it, and it turns out it's a mining town. Sometime in 1962, the seam of coal underneath the town caught on fire. Apparently there are like places where smoke is coming up through cracks in the ground and that, and eventually it made the place almost uninhabitable. It did trigger something in my imagination when I heard about this the more I read about it. I mean, in a sort of a contemporary sense, it's almost like, you know, like the video game stroke film Silent Hill. The idea of all this heat and like it's kind of like hell, I guess, underneath this town that had been a mining town. It's triggered some ideas in my head, and some of the ideas were along the lines of greed, like the greed of mining the earth's resources just like with abandon and that kind of stuff. And so a lot of the lyrical ideas came from that idea of this sort of this symbolism of greed, and then this fire which apparently is going to carry on burning for another 250 years. I mean, it's just insane, really. It's a pretty cool thing to write a song about. So yeah, hopefully that explains the initial idea behind the song. So now I'm going to move on to how we went about writing the song. So how do we go about writing Centralia? Well, this song is quite a bluesy song, as people who like this song will know, and it's got quite a good riff in it. And when I initially wrote the riff and then went to Phil and Chris at the time, because this was before Raj was in the band, I knew I wanted it to like have blues but be heavy as well and have this sort of lumbering riff to it. But before I get too heavily into this, this is one of the few songs that actually ended up on the album These Paths We Tread, which has a sample in it. And the sample is directly from a news broadcast, and I just want to share that with you first.
The old mining town of Centralia in Columbia County was once home to more than 2,000 people.
But a fire more than 40 years ago changed all that, and today fewer than 10 remain.
So hopefully that was brought back some memories and is interesting, because you probably actually only heard the audio version of that and now you actually saw the actual news report that it came from. But getting back to the actual song itself. So when I first decided that I wanted it to be heavy but bluesy, we started jamming out some stuff, and initially the things that we came out with was the speed of this song was something that we kept coming back to, how fast to play it, and it seemed to directly relate to how heavy it felt. And so initially we started playing the song really slow. So let me give you an example of that. Slow, how slow that riff is, and it sounds obviously quite heavy because of it. But I guess we decided that maybe that was a bit too extreme, and so then we started working on playing it slightly faster. And obviously each time we did this, we finessed the song a little bit and added little parts and different sections of the song. But this is a version which is slightly faster. Already that sounds quite different to the previous version. It's quite slow, and I think we ended up settling on somewhere that was kind of in between the two, so it was heavy enough but not so slow it felt uncomfortable. And obviously then started to work on things like actually places where we could have a verse, bring in some lyrics and things like that, and started to get onto a version of the song which I guess will be more recognisable to the people that know it off These Paths We Tread. So I'll play you a little bit of that. definitely be much more recognisable. So you can see how the song gradually evolved, but then from there on it was only just a matter of really tweaking some little bits, and it's pretty much the song that then ended up on the album and the one that you all know from us playing it live. So yeah, pretty cool really. It's a song with some interesting backgrounds and some interesting development, and I hope you've enjoyed looking into it like this. I want to use this moment again to reach out and say thanks to all our Patreons that support us every month. You literally keep the band going, and you have literally funded the new album, so thank you very much. If you're interested in joining us on Patreon, I'll put a link up in the corner and go and check it out. It's only $5 a month, it's nothing really, but I'm going to leave you with a little bit of us playing Centralia live, and then I shall see you next month. Bye bye.